James Gunn, back to DC, guys. James Gunn, what's he saying? Well, he's talking about inspiration and what is the driving motivation for the DCU. Well, this is what he says. James Gunn says he never looked at the MCU as an example for the DCU. Marvel and DC Comics may both reign supreme in the superhero world, but their core storytelling philosophies set them apart. DC characters are typically portrayed as mythic figures, iconic, near divine beings who embody grand ideas like truth, justice, and hope. Those heroes often serve as aspirational symbols, showing humanity what it might one day become. Marvel, on the other hand, focuses on characters who are fundamentally human, first, flawed, relatable individuals who happen to possess extraordinary powers. Rather than distant icons, Marvel's heroes face everyday challenges like financial struggles, discrimination, and relationship problems, making their stories more grounded and emotionally resonant. The difference should extend to the film universes for the respective comic book publishers, and despite turning into a household name thanks to his work at Marvel Studios on the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, James Gunn has confirmed that he rightfully didn't use the MCU as a template for the DCU. He said instead he used the HBO, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars, the latter of which he quite literally, as Superman reportedly begins with a Star Wars-esque opening crawl. Speaking to Omelet, I can go for an omelet. Gunn stated, Game of Thrones, not just the show, but the books, is what we're using as a reference for the DCU. Excuse me. You can see Batman and Wonder Woman banging. I'm just kidding. The DCU is not the MCU. The MCU is kind of our world. It has New York, it has the city, or the city that with superheroes in the middle. The DCU is a different universe, slightly different, slightly transformed. He continued, at the same time, I also draw a lot of inspiration from Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and other things that tells different stories within the same continuity. It's not about telling just one story. Game of Thrones built its reputation on weaving a complex web of separate stories rather than following a single unified narrative. Characters were often scattered across different continents, each with their own goals, conflicts, and alliances. These branching plot lines developed independently for much of the series, occasionally intersecting or converging only after many seasons, creating a sprawling, multifaceted tale rather than a tightly focused main storyline. Based on Gunn's remarks, the DCU appears to be following a structure similar to how comic books operate. Each film will stand on its own, reflecting a specific hero's individual storyline, or run while still existing within a shared universe. Over time, these standalone narratives may gradually converge, culminating in larger interconnected crossover events, much like major comic book arcs that unite multiple titles under one main event, or crisis. All right, here's where I'm confused. And you can make me unconfused real quick. So Iron Man 1, Captain America 1, Thor 1, weren't they kind of like their own stories that eventually led to a big event like the Avengers? What's the difference? I love True Classic. That's how I'm going to start this. I have fallen in love with them. I have so many new things, whether it comes to t-shirts, whether it is sweatpants, things I go to the gym for. I love it. I absolutely love them. At True Classic, the mission goes beyond fit and fabric. It's about helping guys show up with confidence and purpose. The gear fits right, it feels amazing, and it's priced so guys everywhere can step into confidence without stepping out of their budget. What really sets them apart, it's not just about the fit or the fabric, it's the intention behind everything that they do. True Classic was built to make an impact, whether it's helping men show up better in their daily lives, giving back to undeserved communities, or making people laugh with ads that don't take themselves too serious. They lead with purpose. So I have been loving True Classic. I got them. I've got a bunch of things that, again, like I said, shirts, pants, and I told my wife the other day, I said, I don't know if I want to go anywhere else right now. True Classic. I mean, I'm telling you, I went out to go out with some friends. I was wearing this is True Classic t-shirt. They fit really nice. They just they're comfortable. It's good material. I love it. And you don't have to worry about it. Just get rid of the overpriced designer brands. Ditch the disposable fast fashion. True Classic is built for comfort. It's built to last, and it's built to give back. You can grab them anywhere, Target, Costco. You can head to trueclassic.com/Kristian. That's where you really should go, and get hooked up today. You will love it. I have been swearing by it. I'm telling you, this is me telling you straight up. I love this brand. I love True Classic.
First of all, mic check, because they've stopped for now. So
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Just making sure.
Yep.
Yeah, they were. And I think what ended up happening, that which came a little bit of a trap once they realized that they could do this, they started making it more Avengers kind of focus to kind of run back into the center here and to always be around the Avengers. Always, because if you even think about Captain America Civil War, the running joke with that is that wasn't a Captain America movie, that was Avengers 2.5. Which, not that we weren't excited about it, but that was part of why I was like, why are we doing Civil War as a Captain America movie specifically? Because it was a massive Marvel across event. You know what I mean? Like it's a little weird to adopt that story specifically for an individual's thing. And I think that that's where we've run into trouble, is every single one of the MCU movies now is like, how is this ultimately tying, instead of worrying about what is it that Captain America is doing today? What is it that Thor is dealing with this week? What is it? We are constantly bringing it into, how is this in the bigger fold? So if that's how they're starting, and they're going back to the formula essentially of phase one, and you stick with that, except for when we get to this main point, I think they'll be fine. I don't think there's a difference in what they're saying than what the MCU originally set out to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the proof will be once they actually start, showing what the movies are, and you go, oh, that's the difference, right? Like, when you see how they're actually put together, I mean, I'm sure in James Gunn's head, he knows how it's going to relate to Game of Thrones and how Star Wars and those types of things, as opposed to, I think that maybe there are still characters that's maybe more so now in the MCU that pop up in the same movies in the way that like Nick Fury did in Iron Man 2 and Black Widow did, and maybe that kind of stuff. Maybe it's like their own, like no one gets involved until it's time to get involved. I don't know. I don't necessarily really know what that means per se. But he knows, and that's a good thing. Like he knows what he is modeling this after, and if he has a clear-cut idea of what he wants to do, and like, no, the Game of Thrones narratives and the way I'm structuring this thing out and letting this person tell this story over here, and this is our Westeros because we're doing this over here, and there's so much history that's built out here. That's why we can jump back and do a Sergeant Rock story, because it still takes place in the same timeline, but not necessarily. It can be mentioned in something, but in the same way that, you have like some of the Targaryens that are mentioned, it's like they're never really, they don't get involved because they're long gone, and that's the same type of thing. There's a narrative that we have, and it's this big, huge world that it all kind of interconnects. I like that. I think that's great, but I'm going to see that when it unfolds on screen more so than kind of really trying to formulate in my head how he's going to make that work. He's the creator,
Yeah, no,
Oh, now your mic stinks.
Okay, sorry, they're going again, so I'm trying to find a sweet spot. No, I agree, and I think the other thing that gets a little tricky, a lot of these heroes for the Avengers, especially once they became Avengers, are all in the same city all the time. So it also makes it a little hard to be like, well, why didn't Iron Man show up, versus like Batman's in Gotham, Superman's in Metropolis. Not that they couldn't go and visit each other, but they're focused on their own crap. And
Right.
so I think, again, once the Avengers were fully established that way, they were always rolling with each other. And even when you look at their individual films post a lot of these Avengers eras, like, I mean, it again can feel like too many people are always invited to the party. So I think one of the ones in phase 2 and 3 that stick out more than anything are like the original Ant-Man, because yes, you see Falcon, but you see him for one scene, as would happen in a comic run. It's like, oh, Falcon, how will Scott get around this for that one book? And then he's not in it the rest of the way, but it sets something up. Versus, again, I absolutely love Civil War, but by making that a Captain America film, why is it that we're dealing with the whole of the Avengers the entirety of that film? You know what I mean? And so I think if he continues to let it like make this in a way where, yes, we already know there's going to be a lot of people in Superman, but it is been made pretty clear, it feels like that's happening to make a point of the world is not dealing with superheroes the way that they should, and Superman is trying to restore that idea. So that to me is a little different, only in the world to be like, we live in a world with superheroes, but there is one who is better than them all. Like that's if that's what we're doing, then I think that works. And you should really don't emulate that every movie. Let Supergirl be Supergirl. Let when we get to Lanterns, sure, we can see some other people, but focus on the Lanterns. Don't bring other people in there except for like an episode,
build on that lore on itself, because what it also allows you to do is when you build inside of that lore, it allows you to franchise out that lore more so too, like as opposed to say, well, you know what, we just did Man of Steel And what do we do next? Should we franchise out Superman and do Superman 1, 2, and 3, Man of Steel 1, 2, and 3? No. Let's Batman v Superman now. Well, shouldn't we give Ben Affleck his own film first? No. Let's jump to the big event. Don't do that. Like that's trying to follow the MCU in like on steroids, as we said before. But I think that they're going to go far past that. Guys, what do you think? Put your thoughts in there. Do you like this idea that, you know, this is a Game of Thrones type scenario more so than MCU? And do you get it? Can you see it? Put your thoughts in.